It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the four films of August 11th, 2006. On today's show, we've got the start of probably the most successful dance movie franchise out there. We also have, if I remember correctly, I don't have to look, but I might have to. The second of the 9/11 movies that came out in 2006. This one directed by Oliver Stone and starring Nicolas Cage. Kristen Bell starring in her first movie following her Veronica Mars success. And Tim Allen, Courtney Cox, and Chevy Chase starring in a superhero comedy that you probably never heard of. And having seen the movie in theaters when it came out, that's probably a good thing. But we'll get to that eventually. But let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend first. And that is, of course, Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan starring in Step Up.
Hey.
So you think you can dance? Catch me.
Now what?
On August 11th, the hottest movie of the summer arrives.
I didn't know you could dance without your tights.
Step Up.
You don't know what you got yourself into. And up.
Rated PG-13. It starts August 11th.
Of course, Step Up started off unlike what it would eventually become, and you have a storyline that takes place in Baltimore, Maryland, and follows the tale of a disadvantaged Tyler Gage, played by Tatum, and this privileged model dancer, played by Jenna Dewan, who find themselves paired up at a showcase that determines both of their futures. Realizing that they only have one chance, they finally have to work together. And it's pretty much Dirty Dancing as a whole, and like I said before, these movies got progressively better and better, mostly because of the dance moves. I mean, this is kind of like the Fast and Furious for dance movies, because the Fast and Furious started off slow, started off as a typical movie, but then just became so crazy and so insane and so focused on creating these unique and impressive action sequences. Kind of like the Mission Impossible. I could say the same thing about that, but in this case, they come up with the most these movies, as they go forward, come up with the most insane and bizarre dancing sequences that surprisingly work really well in future films. It's just basically Dirty Dancing pretty much, but to its credit, it's not bad. I mean, Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan do have a nice chemistry together. You could tell why they eventually got together in real life after this movie came out. And there is a little bit to admire about the film itself. I mean, there's a little bit of charm to the film. I mean, it's a movie that clearly isn't made for a specific target audience, which I'm obviously not in, but I could see what this series would eventually become down the road. And yeah, for what this movie is, it's serviceable for what it is. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing. You like stuff like Dirty Dancing, Flashdance, Footloose, classic dance movies like that. You can find a lot to admire about this movie in particular, but like I said before, these films do get progressively better, mostly because of the dancing sequences, how they just get so advanced going forward. But in this film, it's fine for what it is. Give it a pass. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Oliver Stone's World Trade Center.
Roll call working Tuesday, September 11th. As always, watch each other's backs.
On a day that changed America.
We prepared for everything. Not this.
Families united.
We know he's alive.
Strangers became brothers.
Someone says step, you don't step.
And a nation stood as one.
9/11 showed us goodness we forgot could exist. People taking care of each other for no other reason than it was the right thing to do.
World Trade Center, rated PG-13.
So this is, as I said before, the second official movie released about the events of September 11th. We already had United 93 earlier in the year, which is definitely the better of the two movies. But this is one that kind of gets pushed off to the side. And honestly, I think it deserves a lot more love than it actually gets. You have a story that is based off the experience of a team of New York City police officers during the September 11th attacks who get stuck inside the rubble of the collapsed World Trade Center, including two cops played by Nicolas Cage and Michael Pena. And yeah, most of the movie is just them trying to survive this event is being stuck underneath the rubble of the trade towers. And this is a really good movie, man. This is a film that I think deserves a lot more attention. I mean, yeah, United 93 is a much better movie in terms of creating atmosphere and tension with Paul Greengrass's unique directing style. This movie, I think, works a lot because there's so many things about it to admire about it. Like, I love, the greatest scene in the movie to me is early on when you see them inside of the building and it's coming down and you see everything around them just collapsing and they're just trying to figure out how the hell they're going to get out of here, and you just see them trying to get to the elevator shaft to protect themselves, and of course they can't get out in time because they're stuck in the rubble. And it's a very tension-filled scene overall. I mean, when you watch the 9/11 documentary that came out about a year after the attacks on CBS, they show you the actual video footage of the towers collapsing as everyone's trying to get out of there, and yeah, they do a pretty good job of creating a very realistic-looking scenario in the situation here. And this is a very, very good movie, mostly because of how great the performances by Nicolas Cage and Michael Pena are. You got great performances all around, too, by Maggie Gyllenhaal, Maria Bello, Stephen Dorff, Jay Hernandez, Michael Shannon. A lot of really good talent involved in this movie, and it is a very uplifting film overall. Like, United 93 was not afraid to go as dark as it needed to tell its story, and that's a good. These two movies are great parallels. You have a darker movie in United 93 that it's not afraid to tell you the cold, hard truth. And this movie is telling you the same thing, but it's giving you a much more uplifting story, and a story that, you can feel really happy about when you see these guys getting out of here, being some of the few that actually survived this. And it's a really good movie. It's a very impressive film, a really terrific film, one of Nicolas Cage's most underrated performances, in my opinion, and a film that definitely deserves a lot more attention. I don't think a lot of people ever talk about it as much as they do with United 93, but it's definitely a film I highly recommend. I think it's a very enjoyable film. Definitely worth a watch. Give it a watch. Probably the last great thing Oliver Stone ever directed, quite honestly, the more I think about it. But I really like it a lot. I highly recommend it. World Trade Center. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Kristen Bell starring in the horror film Pulse.
Connection has been made.
How long have you been watching them?
The question is how long have they been watching me?
Disappearances have begun.
2 of my friends have suddenly gone missing.
And on August 11th,
Oh my god.
the mystery will be revealed.
There are worse things than death, and we found them.
Pulse. Rated PG-13 in theaters everywhere, August 11th.
So in this movie, you have a hacker who invades the computer of another hacker, Douglas Ziegler. Well, this is, I think, DC hacker. He's developing a powerful wireless signal and accidentally releases a mysterious force that will take the will to live the lives of that takes the will to live of human beings, is what I'm trying to say here, generating a suicide epidemic and increasing the force. His girlfriend and student of psychology, Maddie, played by Kristen Bell, sees each one of their common friends die in the destruction of the modern world, and together with her new acquaintance, Dexter, they try to plant a virus developed by Josh and the network to shut down the system and save mankind. And, it's your typical August horror movie, a film that really does not work on a number of different levels. It's actually actually an English version of a Japanese film of the same name, and this is actually co-written by Wes Craven, of all people, so you'd think Wes Craven would have more to do with this to give this movie a little bit of an oomph to it, but sadly it's not there, and the film just really doesn't work overall. It's a film that just feels very lifeless. I mean, that trailer alone I showed you really does not work overall. It's just a film that's just so bland, so mediocre, so lackluster on so many levels. It's just not worth it in the end. You can see Kristen Bell in so many other better things, but this, nope, not at all. So that is Pulse. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Tim Allen starring in Zoom.
They're the new breed of heroes.
Tucker!
Yes.
And they're about to get a blast from the past.
Just like riding a bike.
His name is Zoom, and he used to be just like you.
On August 11th,
We face an imminent threat.
Is there anyone else who can face me?
Come on, guys.
the real mission begins.
Somebody call for a rescue party?
They're becoming a real team.
Tim Allen, Courtney Cox, Chevy Chase, and Rip Torn.
Yeah.
Soon, rated PG.
I have no idea why I thought this was going to be any good. I literally went to go see this movie. Maybe it's because I got suckered into Tim Allen being in the movie. I mean, I saw a lot of Tim Allen movies. I saw The Shaggy Dog. I thought that was pretty good. Santa Claus 2, Santa Claus 1, Toy Story movies. I mean, I've been to a lot of bad Tim Allen movies too. Joe Somebody. But at least Joe Somebody at least had a purpose to it existing. This, you ever watch a movie and you feel like there's so many things that people wanted to rip off of this? Like, I feel like Sony Pictures saw the success of Sky High the year before and said, we want to make our own Sky High movie. And we want to get the director of the Garfield movie, which was successful 2 years ago. Surely we'll have a success here, and not so much. This is based off of a children's book of the same name, which features a former superhero played by Tim Allen, who is dragged into training 4 superpowered youths to become superheroes and combat an approaching threat. Let's throw in a little Fantastic Four in there too. Why not? Because why not? These are the most successful things we've had over the last couple of years. So clearly this is going to be a success, right? No, not at all. And yeah, I was stupid to go see this movie coming out because yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really, really bad. I mean, this is a terrible movie. Like you could tell they were trying so hard to create the next Sky High, and it just fails on so many levels. The comedy isn't funny. There's no satirical edge to it. You could tell this was a movie that was being made by a studio that just needed something to get out there for the families and realized that it was garbage, and they put it out in the middle of August because at that time, you know, kids' movies in August didn't do very well. This thing had a $76 million budget. Where did $76 million go for this movie? I mean, this is pretty bad. This is really, really bad. This is a horrible, horrible movie. It's not funny. It's not clever. The visual effects look absolutely terrible. The jokes are awful. It's bad, watered-down kids' humor. There's nothing fun about this movie whatsoever. There's nothing of value here at all. It's a waste of time on so many levels. You could see much better superhero movies for kids, like Sky High or The Incredibles. Like, anything else would be way better than this garbage right here. And this is a garbage movie. If this isn't on, this probably isn't on my worst movies of all time list, but if it isn't, it's pretty damn close. I mean, I thought it was at first, but no, it's got to be really damn close, though. But, not much more to say about this one, except, yeah, avoid Zoom like the plague. Plain and simple. And so with all of that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Then the next time we meet, we will take a look at 5 more movies, including what was supposed to be the biggest surprise hit of the summer, Snakes on a Plane, starring Samuel L. Jackson. We also have the comedy Accepted, starring Justin Long and Blake Lively. Hillary and Haley Duff star in a movie together, Material Girls. Paul Giamatti and Jessica Biel and Edward Norton star in, I guess, the magician thriller, The Illusionist, which I don't remember too much about. But we also have Trust the Man with Maggie Gyllenhaal among the cast involved in this. So we got 5 films overall to look at. We'll take a look at them on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button because we post videos here every day. You get updates on when they come out. So definitely do that. But with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.